Are you working so hard at trying to do your best at work and for everyone else in your life that you have nothing left for yourself? Do you want to be seen as a good person, a good leader, a good Christian? So you say yes to almost everything and feel guilty saying no or setting boundaries around your time? I spent most of my life trying to find my value in seeking the approval of others, achieving success in school and in my career, and trying to be whatever I thought made me pleasing to others. And guess what? I still didn't feel good enough. God changed all that for me, and I know that you can find freedom from people-pleasing and approval-seeking too. I know that you can create more time for the things that matter most without guilt and shame. You can find fulfillment outside the approval of others, just as I did. God changed my life through Christian life coaching and planted it in my heart that I needed to honor Him by serving other women in this same way. Let me help you create more breathing room, more space in your day so that you can better hear God's leading. Go to gracefilledleader.com to learn more. That's gracefilledleader.com. Grace, Grace, filled, Filled, leader.com. Last week we talked about how our mindset can impact our version of the truth, and that the truth that we create in our minds may not be the truth. So much of the work that I do with clients is around a shift in mindset. When we stop to challenge our thoughts, hold them in the light alongside actual truth, and choose a different way of thinking, it can be life-changing. How we experience life is largely due to how we choose to respond to our thoughts and feelings. I had an unexpected blessing recently that allowed me to practice my coaching skills with one of the most important people in my life. I didn't think about it in the moment, but after our conversation, I realized I just coached my mom. How cool is that? To have the opportunity to influence the most influential person in my life, the woman who birthed and raised me. So sit back and have a listen as I share a bit more about perspective versus truth and how my mom and I blessed each other. Welcome to the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast. Do you want better work-life balance? Do you get stuck in patterns of perfectionism and people-pleasing? Have you always been an overachiever but never really felt good enough, no matter how much outward success you achieve? Do you want more time for the things that matter most? Well, you are in the right place. Here on the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast, we focus on spirit-driven success and share the secrets to having better work-life balance as a busy woman in leadership. Here you will learn how to set boundaries like a boss, find peace of mind, and reclaim your time for the things that matter most. Hi, I'm Tanya, a wife, mom, leader, and certified Christian life coach. For most of my life, I tried to find worthiness through achievement. I spent decades people-pleasing and pouring myself into my work. I was looking for my value through the approval of others. This led me to feel burned out, empty, and exhausted. I had no time or energy for myself or my family. I realized that I was wasting time and energy looking for validation in all the wrong places. But my life changed when I finally surrendered and God showed me a different way. It is my mission to help you start living the abundant life God has for you. If you're ready to become fueled by grace and find freedom from people-pleasing, if you're ready to multiply your time and impact as a Christian woman in leadership, this podcast is for you. Roll up your sleeves, sister friends. It's time to get after it. We have all created ways of being and thinking that are in large part due to how we've responded to our life circumstances, our upbringing, our insecurities, and even our circle of friends. It never ceases to amaze me when I watch women peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak, to uncover the thought patterns that aren't fully based in truth, but can often keep them stuck and held hostage, rather than enjoying the freedom and abundance available to them. The same has been true for me. I continue to discover thought patterns that haven't always served me well. And I'm so grateful that the Lord has shown me a different way of processing my thoughts and feelings through life coaching and time spent in His Word. An even greater blessing has been in coaching other women through this process and helping them to experience life differently. Our thoughts are such a powerful thing. What we choose to do with them truly defines how we experience life. Our thoughts can be the enemy's playground if we allow it. Paul reminded and cautioned the church in Corinth, saying, "We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." Reference 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. So you see, we are to challenge our thoughts and measure them alongside God's Word and His character, and to take captive those that don't align, replacing them with God's truth. This is good news, people. It means that our thoughts and feelings do not have to rule our lives. We can choose something different than the old broken tapes that have played in our heads too long. And when we choose a different truth, that truth fills our hearts and is what exudes out of us and spills over onto others. We think differently, thus we feel differently, thus we act differently. Such freedom. I think I've shared that one of my passions is to help others consider a different perspective and help them construct conversations that allow for personal boundaries and truth while being delivered with grace and love. I love to help women walk in integrity and confidence in a God-honoring way. I see them go from a reactive state to a proactive state of relating, which really makes the difference when it comes to reducing anxiety and preserving relationship. Well, I recently had the honor of helping my mom through a challenging situation and conversation. And while I did not ask her permission to share this story, Mom, if you're listening, I hope you hear my heart in the message. So just a little bit about my mom. I think she would tell you that she comes from a very traditional upbringing. My grandpa was definitely the head of the household and very authoritative in his roles as husband and father. He had very strong opinions and had a pretty fixed mindset. I would say that he struggled to see a perspective different than his own. My mom will tell you that she inherited some of his tendencies. If she is offended, she tends to react first and think later, or at least she had. She is someone that has very high standards for herself and others, and believes things should be done a certain way. The Lord has really been working in my mom's life, and I've seen how she has gained more self-awareness, and she's seeking to be God-honoring. There have been several times when, before reacting to something or someone, she will call me and share the circumstance to get my perspective and advice. Isn't that cool? My mom is asking my advice. Without sharing the details, she had a recent experience in which she had done some work that she takes very seriously and she does with great integrity and organization. She is not a fly by the seat of her pants type gal, but was experiencing the impact of others who tend to be a bit more spontaneous in making last-minute changes to the work she had done. My mom interpreted this rework as a lack of appreciation and consideration. Her initial gut reaction was one of offense, and she had an urge to respond accordingly. But instead, she called me up and we talked it over. I certainly understood her frustration and the impact that the situation had on her. But I also encouraged her to stop and challenge her thinking so that we could figure out a way that her needs could be met while leaving room for grace. Just because my mom thought that her work wasn't appreciated and she felt hurt by that, was it actually true? Perhaps the people involved very much appreciate the work and they just plain don't consider the implications that their spontaneous actions might have on her. They may not intend to be hurtful, and they may not stop to think about the extra work that their actions will bring for her. If she were to react from her initial thoughts and feelings, it may result in strained relationships or regret later on. So we talked through some ideas for scripting and a plan that would allow her to do her work with timeliness and integrity that she desires, and give the other people the resources that they would need and the responsibility to make contact with stakeholders if they made changes to the work later on. She was really happy with the plan and was able to reflect on whether her thoughts and feelings were actually representative of the thoughts and intentions of the people involved. The way forward was an option that would preserve her boundaries and integrity, as well as preserve the relationships with others. She was really happy and grateful for the discussion and the suggestions. I was most encouraged to hopefully help her feel heard and valued and worth setting boundaries in a positive way. There really is something to the power of positive thinking. I am truly inspired by other women who experience the spirit-led clarity that comes with mindset work. And I was really inspired by my mom and her willingness to reach out for my perspective. It is a way in which we get to grow in our relationship as adult mother and daughter. I'm finding such treasures in being a mom to adult children and being an adult daughter. What an honorable role and opportunity we have been given to raise and to become strong, spirit-led women. My strong and spirit-led sister friends, I hope you realize the power that your thoughts have. And even more, the power you have to choose different thoughts that align with God's truth. Until next time, I pray that you are filled with gratitude, peace, and God's amazing grace. And P.S., I pray that you have a blessed Christmas, surrounded by those you love, and taking time to remember the reason for the season. I pray this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or encouraged you in some way. If so, please share it with a friend and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. That's the only way for me to know if you're enjoying the show. Nothing blesses me more than to hear from you. Also, come on over to our free Facebook community. This is a great place for us to support one another on our faith and leadership journeys. You can find the link to the group in the show notes or go to gracefilledleader.com/community. If you have questions or content ideas for the show, please send me a message on SpeakPipe or via email. Go to gracefilledleader.com/contact and leave a written or voice recorded message. I would love to know how I can best serve you on the podcast. Now to Him who can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3, verse 20. Until next time, my friends, God bless.